Today we're going to talk about cap liners, and I have with me my colleagues Josh Haney and Nate Kaufman, and we are going to talk about one of the probably most important parts of the packaging process, which is the cap liner, which is actually something that a lot of people don't know exists and don't know what it's even doing. So we wanted to put together just a little video here along with a little bit of an article talking a little bit about the cap liners. So Josh, maybe if you can get us kicked off here and tell us a little bit about what exactly is a cap liner.
Yeah, for sure. So liners are one of those things, like you said, nobody really thinks about until something leaks, spills, spoils, swells. We get failures in the field. Doesn't happen often, but that's generally when the topic of conversation comes up. So to put it simple, a liner is that insert that's inside the cap. It creates the seal between the cap and the bottle. And depending on the type of liner, it can help with leak prevention. You have things like freshness, tamper indication, tamper evidence. There's also venting and chemical compatibility between the cap and the bottle and the product. So those are all kinds of things that are pretty critical when it comes to the cap liner.
Yeah, it's like you said, Josh. I think nobody notices it. Nobody sees it. They kind of think it's just a random piece in there. So what you're saying is this is not just a random piece of foam that manufacturers put in the cap.
Yeah, definitely not. No, that thing is in there and it is doing a lot of heavy lifting. We like to talk about the package. The package is the cap and the bottle, but a lot of times if you don't have that liner in there, it doesn't matter which cap and bottle you have, you're gonna have a leak.
And Josh, what would you say when you're talking to people that are working on projects and they need a specific kind of liner? What's one of the common misconceptions that you say you run into when you're talking about these liners?
Definitely, people just that don't know, they probably, I would say, are assuming they're all the same. They don't realize that, especially on the heat seal side, we get a lot of customers are like, just whatever you normally do. Well, we can't go down that road. We need some pieces of information. So we need to understand what product is actually going inside the bottle. And different liners are built for different jobs. So some are better for liquids, some are better for powders. Some give you tamper indication, tamper evidence, depending on, you can call it either or. And some are vented, so pressure can escape inside. So some chemicals will, and again, aggressiveness of the product and compatibility, some of those chemicals will actually just eat and scavenge at the liner until you open the bottle and wonder why it's leaking, and there's some foil in there with a big hole in the middle of it.
Yeah. And one term that I've been hearing and I hear a lot is foam liner or F217. What exactly is that?
Yeah, so foam is exactly that. It's foam. It's usually expanded polyethylene foam, which is a very common material. By expanded, it just means there's tiny little, let's say bubbles, but tiny little pockets of polyethylene foam that are all molded together to make one solid lining material. So it comes out, it gets extruded into a flat sheet. I know you guys have seen that before in some of the plants we've been in, and it comes out and they cut it down to the width that it needs to be, and then it gets punched out and installed inside the cap liner.
Okay. So Josh, I always hear about foam liners. I remember when first starting in this industry, I was kind of under the misconception that everything had a foam liner. If they work so well, why don't people just use them for everything?
Well, depending on what you're packaging, there's a lot of situations where you need to have a physical seal that's welded onto the top of the bottle to prevent anything from escaping inside the bottle. So that's the direction you want to go, where a foam liner works great 99% of the time. It will seal just about anything you put inside the bottle. But what you're going to find out is that over time, different changes in elevation, temperature, outside factors are going to affect that. And you're going to actually want something that is, stuck together. I don't want to use the word glued, but glued in, if you will, where the bottle and the liner are one solid thing by the time you're finished.
And then kind of thinking, I feel like people hear terms like induction seal or pressure sensitive liner and stuff like that, and they're just like, yeah, that is so over me. What do you have to say about that, Josh?
Yeah, so induction seal and pressure sensitive are something we get into a lot, and explaining to customers the difference. Pressure sensitive, a lot of people think it does the same thing as an induction seal. Basically, a pressure sensitive liner is like a foam liner that has some substance on it that allows it to adhere to the top of the bottle when you apply pressure on it through, by torquing down the cap. So to me, I always explain it to people as it's kind of like a sticker. It's in there. Yeah, it sticks to it. But at the end of the day, it's not going to provide an aggressive seal. Usually the idea with pressure sensitive liners as well, where people run into trouble is they are mainly designed for dry products, like a powder of some sort. You really do not want to use them for liquid. And then with the heat seal, obviously it's called heat seal, it's heat induction. But what you're using is it's like a microwave type of system. You're actually using electricity to heat that up, time under tension where it is inside the cap, runs through the processing equipment, and then it actually physically welds itself to the bottle. So that's why when you try to peel the liner off of a bottle after you get home, you take the cap off, and it's stuck on there. And a lot of times, depending on the types of liners, and we can get into that in a different post, but you're going to leave behind some residue on the bottle, and that's where that's actually welded to it that way.
Right. Yeah. It's just trying to learn about all this. It feels very, very confusing. And that's kind of what ultimately stemmed with this article that we're going to be putting out. And that's what this video is accompanying. And so Josh, what was the intention behind this article? Like if you are someone out there searching for information, you come across this video, what are they going to see when they look at this?
Well, you're going to see a lot of information that's really going to just clarify a lot of things for people, I think, is the big part of it. Again, we discussed misconceptions and things like that. But if you want to get in here and really get like a kind of a nuts and bolts explanation of which liners make the most sense for which types of applications and be able to compare the three across the board, that's the type of information that is provided.
Yeah. And then say like, they're still hearing you, Josh, and they're like, man, you're speaking Greek, you're speaking Latin. Like somebody still has absolutely no idea like what to do for liners or what liners they need. Like what do you think they should do?
Call me, call us, ask TK. I mean, there are so many different facets of the liner piece of the puzzle, between the bottle, the cap, and the liner. Honestly, the bottle and the cap, obviously, you want them to fit together. But outside of that, it's aesthetics, right? It's aesthetics and use. But really, the important part is you got to get the right liner with the right cap and the right bottle. Make sure you got a good package that doesn't leak.
Absolutely. No, that's super helpful. Thank you. And everyone who's watching this, check out the article that's here. Read it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't make a lot of sense, the one thing that I think is unbelievable about TK is if you reach out to us, I can almost guarantee you we're going to respond within 15 to 20 minutes and we'll help you get an answer. So thank you for watching this.